All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely. Always ready to explore something new.
Well, today we're diving into something that's pretty much unavoidable these days.
Yeah.
Online reviews. You know those digital thumbs up or thumbs down we see everywhere.
Yeah, you encounter them all the time. But do you ever stop to think about how much power they really have?
That's what we're here to uncover. We found some seriously interesting stuff from the talk show, Did You Know?
Did you know? Always has some cool insights. What did they dig up about reviews this time?
Well, get this. They say a whopping 82% of people are less likely to choose a business if they spot even one negative review.
Wow, 82%. That's a huge chunk of potential customers.
Right. It really shows you how much weight a single review carries, good or bad. Have you ever left a review that you felt like really made a difference?
Now that you mention it, I did once. It was for this little independent bookstore I stumbled upon. They had this incredible selection, and the staff was so knowledgeable. So I left a glowing review, hoping to give them a boost.
That's awesome. I bet they appreciated that. Speaking of which, did you know? I actually had a story about a cafe called the Daily Brew that experienced this firsthand.
Oh, what happened?
So the Daily Brew, new on the scene, good coffee, nice atmosphere, but they were struggling to get noticed.
Yeah, it's tough for new businesses to stand out.
Totally. But then, boom, this customer named Emma leaves a 5-star review.
What did she say?
She raved about their coffee, of course, but what really stood out was how the barista went above and beyond to cater to her dietary needs.
Ah, I see. That personal touch makes a big difference.
And it did. After Emma's review, things just took off for the Daily Brew. Suddenly, everyone wanted to try the place with the amazing barista.
It's like a real-life example of social proof. You know, that thing where people are more likely to do something if they see others doing it?
Makes sense. Like, if everyone else loves this cafe, it must be good.
Right.
But then, did you know, flipped the script and said, okay, imagine someone has a bad experience at the Daily Brew. Not even terrible, just like one thing goes wrong.
Ooh, I see where this is going. What happens then?
They leave a negative review.
Yeah.
And suddenly, that 82% of people who avoid businesses with negative reviews are thinking twice.
Yikes. Yeah, that could be really damaging, especially for a business that's just finding its feet.
Exactly. It highlights the double-edged sword of online reviews. They can make or break a business. So what's a business owner to do?
Well, the show mentioned this concept called service recovery, which is basically all about making things right when a customer has a negative experience.
Like damage control.
Kind of, but it's more about genuine effort showing you care. They actually shared a story about a bakery that got a 1-star review.
Oh no. What happened? Did they burn the cake?
No, it was a misunderstanding about an order. But instead of getting defensive or ignoring it, the owner publicly apologized and offered the customer a free cake.
Wow. That's a pretty sweet way to handle it. Pun intended.
Right. They totally turned a negative situation into a positive one. Not only did they potentially win back the customer, but they also showed everyone else that they take customer satisfaction seriously.
So it's like handling a bad review well can actually build trust.
Absolutely. It shows transparency and accountability, qualities that consumers really value these days.
All right, so we've seen how impactful reviews can be for businesses. But why are we as consumers so influenced by them in the first place?
That's a great way to put it. And in a world where we're overwhelmed with choices, it's no wonder we turn to reviews to help us navigate it all.
It's like, who has time to try every restaurant or buy every product to figure out what's good?
Exactly. We rely on those who have gone before us to light the way.
But doesn't that make us, like, super susceptible to manipulation? I mean, what's stopping businesses from just flooding the internet with fake positive reviews?
Well, there are platforms and algorithms designed to detect and filter out fake reviews. But it's true that discerning genuine feedback from manufactured hype can be tricky.
That's why I always take reviews with a grain of salt, especially if they sound too good to be true.
That's a smart approach, and it highlights the importance of being a critical consumer of online information. Don't just blindly trust everything you read. Look for patterns, consider the source, and trust your gut.
It's like being a detective, sifting through the evidence to find the truth.
Exactly. And the more discerning we are as consumers, the more accountable businesses will have to be.
All right, so we've established that online reviews are powerful, influential, and sometimes even a little bit tricky. But before we go full Sherlock Holmes on this, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the psychology behind why we're so drawn to these digital opinions in the first place. What is it about them that makes us hang on every word, even when they're written by people we've never met?
That's a great question, and it really gets to the heart of how technology has reshaped the way we interact with information and each other. Stay tuned because we'll be diving deep into that very topic right after the break.
It's like we can't make a decision these days without consulting the online hive mind.
Right. Whether it's choosing a restaurant, booking a hotel, or even picking a movie to watch, we want to know what everyone else thinks first.
It's almost like we've outsourced our decision-making to the internet.
In a way, yeah. We're relying on the collective wisdom of the crowd, trusting that the combined experiences of others will steer us in the right direction.
And it's not just about avoiding bad choices, right? It's also about discovering hidden gems.
Absolutely. Think about all those times you've stumbled upon an amazing little cafe or a unique product thanks to a rave review online.
Oh, totally. It's like those reviews helped unlock a whole world of awesome stuff that we might have missed otherwise.
Exactly. And that sense of discovery can be incredibly rewarding. It's like we're all part of this giant treasure hunt, sharing clues and guiding each other toward those hidden gems.
So we've talked a lot about the impact of reviews on businesses, but what about the flip side? What about the effect leaving a review has on us, the reviewers?
Ooh, interesting question. You mean like beyond just influencing our choices, does the act of writing a review change us in any way?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think it definitely does. When we leave a review, we're not just expressing an opinion, we're also putting a part of ourselves out there for the world to see.
It's like we're creating a digital persona through our reviews, right?
Precisely. And with each review we write, we're contributing to this massive tapestry of online opinions that shapes the perceptions of others.
So then it becomes about more than just venting frustration or singing praises, right? It's about being part of a larger conversation and using our voices responsibly.
Absolutely, because each review contributes to this collective pool of knowledge that we all tap into.
Speaking of which, did you know? Actually wrapped up their segment with a pretty powerful call to action.
Oh, what did they say?
They urge listeners to leave thoughtful reviews, emphasizing that it's not just about helping businesses, it's about contributing to the shared pool of knowledge that ultimately benefits everyone.
That's a great point. By sharing our experiences, we're helping others make more informed decisions and navigate this increasingly complex digital world.
It's like we have a responsibility to share our insights, whether they're positive or negative, to help each other out.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our individual voices, even in the form of seemingly small reviews, can collectively make a big difference.
Okay, so we've explored the impact of reviews on both businesses and consumers. We've seen how they've changed the way we build trust online and how they can even shape our own sense of self. But I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier, that idea of reviews as a form of digital word of mouth.
Yeah, it's a powerful analogy that highlights how technology has fundamentally reshaped the way we communicate and share information.
It makes you wonder, if reviews are the new word of mouth, what does that mean for the future of traditional marketing?
That's a great question because it's not enough for businesses to simply put out a flashy ad or a catchy slogan anymore. Consumers want to hear from real people who have actually experienced the product or service.
So it's about authenticity and transparency then?
Exactly. Businesses need to find ways to engage with consumers authentically, respond to feedback, and build trust through open and honest communication.
So it's not about trying to control the narrative anymore. It's about being part of the conversation.
Exactly. Businesses need to become active participants in the online communities where people are already talking about their products and services.
So basically, they need to be present, listen to what people are saying, and respond in a way that is both genuine and helpful.
Right. It's about building real relationships with customers, online and offline.
All right, so it sounds like the digital landscape is shifting, and businesses that want to thrive need to adapt to this new era of online reviews and consumer empowerment. But with all this emphasis on listening to the voices of others, I think it's easy to forget that we, as individuals, also bring our own baggage to the table when we engage with reviews.
Oh, you mean like our own biases and preconceptions?
Exactly.
You're right. We can't forget about that. Because even with the best intentions, our own personal experiences and beliefs can color our perceptions. And that can influence how we interpret and evaluate the reviews we read, and even how we write our own.
So it's like, even when we think we're being objective, our own subjective viewpoints can sneak in there.
Absolutely. It's something we all need to be mindful of. Did you know? Even touched on this, highlighting how our expectations and past experiences can shape our current perceptions. So, something that might seem amazing to one person could be a total flop for someone else.
It's a good reminder to take everything with a grain of salt, right? to consider the source, be aware of our own potential biases, and remember that there's no such thing as a truly objective review.
I think that's a perfect note to end this part of our deep dive on.
It's wild to think how much power we have as consumers now. Like, our opinions can actually make or break a business.
It really speaks to the democratizing power of the internet. Information is everywhere, it's accessible, and that gives consumers a voice they didn't have before.
But with all this talk about listening to everyone's opinions, sometimes I wonder if we forget that we all come to the table with, like, our own biases.
You're right, we do. Did you know? I actually touched on that. They said our own expectations and past experiences can really color how we see things.
So even when we're trying to be objective about a product or service, our own personal baggage can sneak in.
Exactly. It's like what might seem amazing to one person could be a total dud to someone else just because of their different backgrounds and expectations.
It reminds me of that saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
It's so true. And it highlights the importance of recognizing that even the most well-intentioned reviews can be subjective.
So as consumers, how do we navigate this sea of opinions and figure out what to trust?
Well, it's about cultivating a healthy sense of skepticism. Don't just blindly accept everything you read. Think critically about the source, look for patterns in the reviews, and most importantly, trust your gut instinct.
So it's like, be a savvy consumer, do your research, read between the lines, and don't be afraid to form your own opinion.
Exactly. And remember, a single review, whether it's glowing or scathing, doesn't tell the whole story. Look for a range of perspectives to get a more balanced view.
Well, I think that wraps up our deep dive into the world of online reviews. It's been a fascinating journey exploring the psychology behind why we're so drawn to these digital opinions, how they've reshaped the way we build trust, and the impact they have on businesses and individuals alike.
Absolutely. And as we become even more reliant on online reviews, I think it's crucial to engage with them thoughtfully and critically, recognizing both their power and their limitations.
We need to remember that our words have weight, and that even a seemingly small review can ripple out and impact others.
So the next time you're about to leave a review, take a moment to reflect. Consider the potential impact your words might have, both on the business and on other consumers who might read your review.
Let's strive to be the kind of reviewers who contribute to a more informed, nuanced, and ultimately helpful online experience for everyone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep sharing your experiences. Your voice matters.